Hi and welcome. My name is Erin. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer at the UBC Vancouver campus. Both UBC campuses are built on lands that have been home to Indigenous peoples for thousands of years, and I'd like to acknowledge the land that UBC has built its Vancouver campus on, which we work, learn, connect, and innovate is the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Musqueam peoples. Our Okanagan campus is situated in the territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I'd also like to acknowledge that you're joining us today from many places near and far and recognize the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. So it won't be just me today that you'll be meeting. We have several guest speakers. My colleague Marie, who you've likely seen on our presentations before, will be here from the Okanagan campus. Quinn will be here as well, joining from the Okanagan campus to speak a little bit more about some questions that as an international student you might have. And then we have two students with us here today. So we have Delana and Empo, who will be sharing a little bit more about their student experience, and then also happy to answer any questions that you might have about their life as a student so far. So, just a little Zoom housekeeping real quick. If you've been on these events, you probably already know this, but this session is really for you. So we just want to make sure that you are set up to utilize this session as much as possible. If you are experiencing any audio or video issues, you should be able to use that microphone button at the bottom of your screen to adjust your sound settings. You also may want to check if you accidentally have like a Bluetooth headphone connection, because I know I've done that before and I can't hear anything. But if it's not working, you can always leave the webinar and come back right in, and you shouldn't have any issues doing that. And this session, I said, is really designed for you, so we want you to be able to submit your questions. Today, we're going to be using the Q&A. So if you don't see it at the bottom of your screen, you can hit that little More button that has three dots in it, and you'll be able to open the Q&A, and this is where you can submit your questions. We're going to be going through a lot of information at the beginning, so you may want to hold off on your questions just a little bit to see if it gets answered already, but you'll be able to submit any questions that you have about engineering, about student life, about things specific to being an international student as well, and we'll try and answer as many as we can today. Also, check to see if anyone's asked questions that you've asked already or that you're hoping to ask, because you can upvote those questions. So we don't want having multiples of the same questions. And so if you are upvoting questions, we'll try and go through an order of most upvoted questions when it comes time to the Q&A at the end. Closed captioning is enabled today. You can turn this on if you're interested. And then finally, if you're not able to stay with us for the entire session, you can watch the YouTube recording that will come out next week. It'll be emailed to you since you've registered for the event, but it'll also be posted to YouTube as well. And then, sorry, one last thing. We do have a lot of links that you'll be able to access throughout the event. And so you'll see a little pop-up at the bottom of your screen. You can click on those links. It will say that it's taking you outside of Zoom. It's just going to open your browser. You can follow those. You can also access them all in the Resources tab to find any links that might be interesting to you. And in that Resources tab, there's also an additional tab in there called the Document tab. And there is a PDF where we've compiled most of the links that are shared, so that you can download that and keep that for reference later on if you're wanting to get to any of these links after today. All right, so hoping to kind of start off the session with answering some of those questions that you might have. You've all applied. Some of you may have been admitted, some of you may have not, but we're going to address some of those common questions that you might have. So UBC continues to send out admission decisions on a rolling basis. And like I said, while some students may have already received an offer, to those of you that have, congratulations, that's amazing. But the majority of decisions are still going to go out a little bit later in March and then into April as well, once those first term results are available for review. Any updates to your application will be communicated to you first through your application service center. You can check under admissions and then application status in there, and that's where you'll find all of the important information that you need. If UBC does require any additional information from you, such as transcripts, again, you'll see that on your Applicant Service Center account. And depending on which document it is, they'll tell you how you need to submit it. You can also check your emails, because they should be emailing you with any of those documents that they require as well. Also important, coming up kind of later in the summer, make sure that your final transcripts are getting sent to UBC, especially if you're completing things like IB or AP. You need to make sure that you've requested that IBO or the College Board are sending those results to UBC. Finally, on this page, I want to mention that offers are conditional. So you must complete the requirements listed on your offer of admission or by going to the Keep Your Offer website and have your final grades sent to UBC to keep that offer of admission. Once the conditions are met, that's like all that we're looking for. So we're not looking for kind of anything above and beyond, but we just want you to keep those conditions, which is mostly kind of keeping the same rough average that you are, but it does, the website does dive into a little bit more of those details. And then also completing those required courses. But again, check your ASC and your offer letter for anything that is specific for you. Couple more pieces to mention. So there are several types of scholarships for international students. We're going to mention those a little bit later as well. But the good news is that you've already done the hard part of applying to them at UBC. So decisions for scholarships will be shared with eligible students via email about mid-March through April. If you're planning to live on campus, this is really important. You need to apply to housing by May 1st. There is a different application for the Vancouver and Okanagan campus. So depending on where it is you're planning to study or where you've been offered admission to, make sure that you're submitting that application for housing by May 1st to be guaranteed a spot for those incoming first-year students. If you are not applying by May 1st, it will be much harder to get a spot in residence. We don't want you to have to deal with any of that stress. So just make sure you're applying by May 1st. A few final tips, make sure you're checking your email regularly. You'll get lots of information both from UBC Engineering as well as from UBC Admissions and several other UBC emails throughout the next few months as well. So make sure you're checking that and read through everything carefully. If you have any questions specifically about admissions, then that is a great spot to use the contact form online. Marie and I are here to kind of answer as many questions as we can today, but we are not admissions professionals, so you can use the contact form if you have questions specifically about your application. All right, I'm going to talk through a few more slides before I bring Marie on to share a little bit more with you. What makes UBC Engineering stand out? So many of you may have applied to engineering at multiple schools. You may see that the degrees are all named different things. At UBC, the Bachelor of Applied Science, or BASC for short, is the degree name for engineering at UBC. What matters most is that this is an accredited engineering degree that's recognized internationally. There's no standard naming convention for engineering degrees in Canada. We do have alumni around the world working as professional engineers. We also have alumni who have applied for post-graduation work permit to remain working in Canada after graduation as well. Engineering really provides an exceptional foundation for your future. And yes, you'll be able to go on and work as an engineer after graduation, but the degree also allows you to pursue other professional programs like law school, medical school, a master's, or PhD. We know, again, that you're going to be making a lot of choices over the next few months, and if you choose to join us at UBC, you'll be joining a university which is globally ranked for its excellence in teaching and research. We are the most international university in North America, and we rank in the top 5% of all universities in the world. We're also #1 in Canada for international outlook. When we look at UBC Engineering specifically, we have ranked as the #2 program in Canada, and we're very proud of that. We're also home to the largest co-op program in Western Canada, where you have fantastic employer partnerships to really set you up for success. So overall, if you're going to join UBC, you'll be joining one of the top universities in the world. Now at UBC, your first year of studies will have larger lectures, but most of your lectures will also have studios, tutorials, or labs that will be around 30 to 50 students and give you the hands-on application of knowledge, as well as a chance to ask questions to your instructors and teaching assistants in a smaller setting. These lectures that you are in will be taught by our amazing professors who are really some of the best in their field. From the very start of that degree, you'll also be exposed to hands-on design projects. We can see a little GIF of one of those projects here. You'll work in teams with your peers, and this is going to continue all the way throughout your degree. If you're looking to customize your degree a little bit more, you can also choose to do something like a minor, go on an international exchange, and to support your future career, there's also lots of opportunities to get involved in things like research. You can gain professional development like mentorship or joining our industry nights, joining a club or design team to get connected with your community. There's so many ways to really make the most out of your UBC engineering degree. I'm going to pass it over to Marie now. And Marie, your slide sharing is active.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. So like Erin mentioned, I'm Marie Reed. I'm the project manager, programs and strategy for the School of Engineering at the UBC Okanagan campus, and I'm so happy you can join us today. So I get to talk some more about different logistics and a lot of the things you guys have questions about. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is finances and scholarship opportunities, just in a little bit more detail today. So the best way to determine how much your first year is going to cost you is to use our cost calculator online. So this allows you to indicate all that applies to you to help you determine what your fees will be. So you can expect each year will cost roughly the same in the amount of tuition, though it does increase a couple of percent each year. Tuition is the same across both campuses, and you can expect to pay about 65,000 Canadian for tuition in your first year. Your additional cost for residence and your meal plan is estimated to be approximately 12 to 15,000 for September through April. But I highly recommend, if you haven't had a chance to yet, to go to this first year cost calculator because you can add in things like living expenses if you're going to be living off campus, and additional things related to potentially like buying a laptop and books, etc. So it gives you a really nice overview of what that first year is going to cost you. UBC also has really great financial support for students. So I recommend you check out the financial planning tab, and we have a little pop-up this came up for the financial planning link. So this is a really great website that has lots of information. So we know scholarships is a really hot topic and lots of people want to learn about those. So I'm just going to briefly discuss those here. There are several different scholarship opportunities for international students at UBC. As Erin mentioned, many of those scholarships for international students will have automatic consideration, which what that means is that when you apply to UBC, you were automatically considered for those scholarships. And so your work is already done for these. Eligible students are going to be notified in March and April via email. There are two scholarships that I just wanted to take a minute to mention because they are our newest international scholarships, and that's the UBC Okanagan Global Elevation Award, which is an $8,000 award given to all new international undergraduate students who enroll at UBC Okanagan. It is renewable for an additional 3 years, up to 4 years. And then we have the UBC Okanagan International Welcome Award, which is awarded to all international students who apply to UBC with a UBC Okanagan degree listed as their first choice and who have accepted and enrolled into their UBC Okanagan First Choice program. And this is a $5,000 award. In addition, there are also scholarship opportunities at UBC for continuing students. So what this means is you can look for scholarship opportunities to apply in when you're going to year 2, year 3, and year 4. And we also encourage you to seek out external scholarship opportunities. You can do this by searching like tech or STEM, engineering, women in engineering, and seeing what external scholarships are available. So outside of awards, there's also several different other ways that you can make money throughout your degree. These include on-campus positions such as work learn or work study positions. These type of positions allow students to gain paid professional work experience of up to 10 hours per week while you're actually taking your classes. There's also opportunities for paid research and labs through different research awards. And our applied science co-op programs allow students to gain paid work experience that is relevant to your specific degree. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about our applied science co-op program because we do get a lot of questions about that. So as Erin mentioned, UBC has the largest co-op program in Western Canada. It's really a great opportunity for that paid work experience, but it also really allows you to try out different types of engineering roles to see which one really resonates with you. The Applied Science Co-op program is one program across two campuses. So no matter which campus you decide to attend, you get support from co-op staff as well as access to that same co-op job database. A popular question that we get is, what is the process to apply to co-op? And the answer is really easy. You need to qualify. To qualify, you need to have second year standing and meet the minimum academic requirements. There is a lot of opportunity for you to learn more about co-op throughout your first year, but that's just a little bit of a snippet of what you can look forward to. So now I want to talk a little bit about the next steps. So from some of you, you may have already heard back from UBC, and if you did, congratulations. Each year, UBC receives thousands of applications from students all over the world, and being accepted is a recognition and acknowledgement of all the hard work you've put in so far, and we'd love for you to join our community. If you decide to join us, there are 3 steps that you need to do to accept your offer. Step 1, log into your applicant service center. Step 2, click on admission, then select the accept my offer or decline. And step 3 is select yes, I accept this offer. And then you just follow the steps to pay your deposit. Okay. Awesome. So that is it for me for right now. I am going to pass it over to Quinn, who is an international student advisor, who is going to share a little bit about international student support leading up to and during your degree. So over to you, Quinn.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time to join our session today. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in right now. So I'm an international student advisor at the Global Engagement Office on Okanagan campus. So I'm going to talking about the international student services for both campuses today. As you can see on this screen, so we have two teams in each campus. We have Vancouver International Student Advising Team, and we also have the International Student Advising Team on Okanagan campus. So we located on the different campus. However, we have all the advisors, which including the regulated immigration consultant and regulated international student immigration consultant in both offices. So you can see in the picture, so me and my colleague Sebastian, so we have the different credential, but both of us can advise you on your immigration questions. And we also have another permanent residence advisor, which is only available on Okanagan campus. So advisor name is Brandy, and she can help the student who close to the completion of the program and provide the advice on their PR pathway in Canada. So what we can do for you, so as advisors on both campuses, so we provide the immigration report, support for all of the students regarding your study permits, co-op work permit. Like Maria mentioned, if you have you do have the co-op opportunities, you need to apply for the co-op work permit. And when you complete your program at UBC, and you are eligible to apply for post-graduation work permit and the other documents for your family members. And we also help you to set up your health insurance. So most of you have already know, so in Canada, the cost of the hospital or the clinic is very high. So we require all the international students have the health insurance. So we have the temporary health insurance and also the long-term health insurance, which is valid until you finish your program. So our office can help you to set up that. So make sure you come to see us when you come to campus. And we also provide the service for you to work in Canada. We will check your eligibilities, and we will making kind of the support. And we also have the career advisor on campus to support your job searching resume, and make sure before you accept any job talk with our advisor, and we will help you to check whether you have the eligibility to work. And we also have the Global Pathway Program, which is only available on Okanagan campus. So Brandy is one of the advisors can help you with the PR advising. And we also have the different programs and different support. So just make it easy for everyone, because we know there's overwhelming information when you first come as an international student in the different countries. So if you have any question, so no matter that's a small question or you think it's not important, don't worry, come to see us. So we have the Vancouver office in the UBC Life Building first floor, and we also have the office on Okanagan campus on the UNC second floor, UNC 227. So we're the one-stop shop. So if you need any help, so come to see us, and we will refer you to the different offices if we cannot answer your questions. So just imagine we're your new home in Canada. So we welcome you to come to chat with us at any time. So this is a settlement. Let's go back. This is a settlement checklist for all the new international students. There's tons of things that you need to do before you start your class, or the first 1 to 3 months when you start your study. So you can see you need to register courses, pay the tuition fee, which is the course registration will be started in July. So there's a different kind of the timelines. You need to complete certain things to make your life easier in Canada. So we listed them, all of them here, and we also have a copy of the checklist in our office. So when you come to our office, and if you cannot remember all of these things, don't worry about it. Ask our front desk staff, and she will give you a physical copy, and you can check it when you finish each one. So the very, very important step after you got admitted to UBC is to applying for a study permit as soon as possible. Even though you have a conditional offer right now, so in some countries other than in India, so you can apply for a study permit with your conditional offer. So the processing time for a study permit varies in the different countries. In some countries, it might take several months to get approval. So when you receive the conditional offer, make sure you can connect with our study permit concierge services, which is a new, it started from last year. So which is a new complementary services from UBC to offer the support for your study permit application without any charge. So there's a QR code on the screen. So I wish you can take a picture of this page, and when you have time to scan that page, and there's some basic information about our study permit concierge services, how to connect with them, and they will help you to check your documents to make sure you submit a perfect application to avoid the study permit refusal. And we also have a step-by-step first initial study permit application tutorial on our website. So if the student can follow the tutorial to prepare for your application, and that's a very kind of detailed application to teach you how to do it by yourself, and you can either follow our tutorial or connect with our study permit concierge services to check your application before you submit it. And there's another important part is if you are a high school student in Canada right now, so please reach out to our office because that is a different application step other than the initial study permit application. So make sure you talk with us before you start your application process. Oh, move to next page. Yeah, here we go. This is my last slide. So we have two QR codes on here. So one is the link for the Vancouver International Student Services, and the other one is the Okanagan International Student Services page. So if you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we on Okanagan campus, we also have an Instagram page. We always post some workshops and events, activities on our Instagram. And we also have some Go Global opportunities posted on our Instagram as well. So make sure you follow us on our Instagram. And I hope I can see everyone in September on our campus. Thank you, everyone. And I will pass it to Maria.
Thank you so much, Quinn, for giving that great overview of the supports available. It was really appreciated how you went through what they need to do now and when they arrive. So we will have some time in a little bit for you to ask some questions to Quinn. So please put any questions you have for Quinn into that Q&A. So now we're going to move to our student experience portion of the event today. I would like to welcome Delana and Mpo, who are current engineering students, and they're going to share a bit about their student experience. So I'm going to pass it over to Delana first.
Hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're joining. I'm Delana. I'm currently in my third year here at UBC Vancouver, and I'm studying civil engineering. And I moved here from Qatar about 3 years ago, so I know exactly what it feels like to change countries and also settle into a new one. So my first year, I'd say, was definitely like a whirlwind of like emotions in terms of like moving away from family and like also having fun while taking all the engineering course load. So when I'm not in classes, I'm usually like cafe hopping around Vancouver. That's like my favorite thing to do. So if you ever need coffee recommendations while studying, I'm like your go-to person for that. And primarily to find my community here, am involved with a bunch of different things on campus. Women in engineering is one of them. My design team, Concrete Canoe here at Vancouver, is one of them. And then these are not just like the technical aspects of it, but these are also for you to find like a great sense of community within the engineering faculty. And I think I've also lived in first year and upper year residences, so that I think that's also played a huge part in my campus experience and involvement. I'm also in the co-op program currently. So if you have any questions regarding that as well, feel free to ask. And I think being a UBC engineering ambassador is just like so fulfilling because I remember attending this very event 3 years ago. So I think this is like a very deja vu situation because I remember exactly what I was thinking. So I'm here if you ever need to ask any questions. So just feel free to ask me about all my experience listed on the slide as well.
Thank you so much, Delana. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mpo.
Hi everyone, my name is Mpho. I am an international student from South Africa. I'm in my fourth year currently, and I graduate this year in June, which is pretty exciting. I've done co-op in the Yukon territories, which was pretty exciting. I decided to move to a different province or a different territory, as a way to kind of explore and travel through Canada, which was pretty nice. I did 16 months of co-op. I worked for the government of Yukon and the city of Whitehorse, where I worked in construction, transportation, environmental, and residential engineering, which exposed me to a whole range of what civil engineering has to offer. In my first year, I lived in the Valhalla residence on campus, and that's where I met all of my amazing friends and my community there. And in first year, as a part of the APSI 169 course, I entered the UNICEF Engineering Hackathon competition, where I was very fortunate enough to become a finalist, which was an amazing achievement for me.
Thank you so much, Impo. We're now going to move to the prepared question part of the session. Before I dive into the first question here, I just want to prep everyone joining us today is after these prepared questions, we're going to start answering your questions that are being submitted in the Q&A. So please feel free to continue submitting your questions there. And just as a reminder, I see we have quite a few questions coming in. If you can review those as well and remember to upvote the ones that you would like us to answer the most, and those will move to the top of the list. So the first question I have today is for Empo, and that is, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when transitioning from high school to university at UBC? What support systems did you use to help adjust to university life, both academically and socially?
Yeah, so I would say my biggest challenge transitioning was definitely acclimatizing to a completely new environment, a new culture, a new social life. Um, and also with academics, university is very fast-paced, very independent, and very different from high school. So I did struggle quite a bit to navigate through that, but UBCO has a lot of resources available. I went to my professor's office hours to help me navigate my academics as well as utilize the Student Learning Hub, which is a great resource here on campus. They offer tutoring, they offer learning strategy, they offer so many resources that help you find a system that works for you so that you're able to handle your academics in a healthy and good way. Socially, I joined a whole bunch of clubs that were in engineering and clubs that were also outside of engineering. I felt that it was very important to kind of um, expose yourself to a variety of people. So one club that I really enjoyed was the Grow and Glow Club. Every week there would be movie nights, there would be paint nights, there would be tote bag making nights. So that helped a lot socially, and that helped me find a community that was able to make my transition from South Africa to Canada seamless.
Thanks so much for sharing, Impo. It is a transition from high school to university, so it's really great to hear some of your advice and some of the things that worked well for you. The next question here is for Delana, and this question is, when you first arrived at university, how did you make friends and find a sense of community on campus? What resources or spaces helped you feel more connected?
I think when I got to campus, the main way of making friends for me was Jumpstart. I remember we were put into groups, and it was only like engineering students in one group. And also, I think it was people who lived in the same residence area as well. So I think it was very helpful to be in a group full of people who were studying engineering with me, and also just like first years from all around the world. And we had, I remember we had lunch together. We also had dinner together. So I think it was just a great way to kind of like stay connected with those people once I met them on the first day. And then apart from Jumpstart, I think when I got introduced to those very same people or even more, I started because we had the same classes. So we started going to classes together and then getting lunch together and then also proceeded to do homework together, which was also a great way to find those study groups that you can utilize to their full potential and also just like know different study methods and while getting to know more people.
Thank you so much. Such great advice because it is, I think, one of the most daunting things to be like, how am I going to make friends and find my community? So thank you so much for sharing. The next question here is for you, Quinn. And it is, what is your advice for students who have been admitted and are now starting their study permit process?
For the study permit, yeah, so when the student receive the letter of acceptance, so I would suggest them to apply for study permit as soon as possible. Uh, Connect with the study permit concierge services, start to prepare for the application, and ask them to check your application before you submit it online. Yeah, so that's a very important step they need to take right now when they got accepted. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's great to hear that again because I feel like it's great for us to hear all of those steps and the importance of knowing what is happening next, depending on where you're at in this process. So thank you so much. I do have one more prepared question here for Enpo and Delana here. That is, what were your initial impressions of Vancouver for Delana and Kelowna for Enpo, and your initial impressions of UBC when you first arrived? You guys can pick who starts.
I guess I could go first. My impression of Kelowna was how beautiful and scenic it was with all the mountains and the Okanagan Lake. I remember my first night, I met like a bunch of random people and we decided to go downtown to watch the sunset. And it was a very beautiful experience. Um, it was a very nice, calm town or city that I really enjoyed. My first impression of UBC Okanagan was when I came to campus for Jumpstart and I was moving in all of my stuff, and everyone was just so eager to be helpful and to make friends. And that kind of contributed to a supportive and tight-knit community that I experienced here on campus, which was really helpful as an international student to find that sense of community on campus. So that was my first impression.
I think for me, for the Vancouver campus, I had done my research about the campus, so I theoretically knew where all the buildings were and like all the main spots. Regardless of that, I proceeded to get lost on the very first day of Jumpstart. And I remember I was late to my Jumpstart group. So my first impression for the Vancouver campus was the campus is huge. So do not ever underestimate the time it might take you to go from one class to another. Saying that, the time that's given to you between classes is always enough just to like fast walk to the other end of campus. But regardless of that, the campus is huge. So always like be prepared on in like the first initial days of like walking around campus to get lost. Like in case you basically do just like me and like just like walk to some random building instead of where you're supposed to go. But I think in terms of scenery, the campus is actually very like photogenic. You can go anywhere and like take very nice photos and also like watch the sunset. We have the Wreck Beach, you have the Rose Garden, which is quite nice. When you want to take like a walk between study sessions, it's very therapeutic as well. And then there are some major like landmarks across campus, which are also great to explore.
Thank you so much. So as you can see, both campuses are amazing. There's a lot of things to do on campus and outside around both Vancouver and Kelowna. So really that choice is just up to you on which campus is right for you. But thank you for sharing your first impressions and experiences of both of our beautiful campuses. Quinn, I have one more question for you that's along the same lines of what Delena just said about Jumpstart. So once an international student gets to campus, how can they get help navigating life in Canada and on campus?
So during so I really strong recommend all the students attend the jump start. So during the jump start, and they assign the student into the different group, and they have the peer-to-peer support. They also have the orientation leader to help the student to transition to the different sessions of the jump start, because this year For Okanagan campus, we're reshaping the style of the Jumpstart. So we're trying to make sure all the students have the more opportunity to making the friends, to have the choice to choose to attend the sessions which is more related to their academic and their lifestyle. So make sure you join the Jumpstart to making the friends for this in the same department or in your same residence, which is a very, very important first kind of settlement step when you come to Canada. So we know different students have a different personality. If you are shy or if you're missing the opportunity to join the Jumpstart or to join the Jumpstart late, don't worry about it. Come to see our international student advisor, and we will help you to connect with some peers and to help you to connect with your friend, the other friends, and make sure you have someone to be with you and start from the same kind of the beginning point in Canada. Yeah, so don't hesitate to ask. So it's never too late to ask for help. So we love to see your questions. We love to see you to show up in our office to join the conversation with the student and the advisors. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Quinn. And I think that's really important advice that it's never too late to ask because it is sometimes intimidating when you first arrive on campus. And as you can see, we have lots of great friendly faces here, and there's many more that aren't here with us today, and we all want to hear from you. So never hesitate to come ask any questions. So Erin, I'm going to pause right now for our prepared question because I can see we have some coming in the Q&A. Can I pass it over to you to get us started?
Yes, so a couple things I want to touch on. I have been typing responses to some questions, especially some questions have kind of been related to each other. So there's a couple pieces I want to address just as an overall before we jump into your great questions. Quite a few questions about co-op have been coming in, which is great. We love the co-op program. Obviously, our two students here participated in co-op. It is something that international students are typically able to participate in without any issues in Canada. And it allows you to really gain that paid work experience as part of your university degree. So it's in an engineering field. It's going to help you also find out what you want to work as when you graduate too, right? So Empo had lots of different types of areas of co-op that she's done to kind of learn a little bit more. So hopefully that's given you some insight into what you actually want to do when you graduate. But that's something that we hear all the time. And what I'm really getting to is that we hosted a co-op session in February, and it really dives into a lot of these questions being asked of like, is there a fee associated with co-op? There is. It's a very small fee. You still get paid very well. And kind of like, what does the schedule look like for a student? How do you maintain that balance? What do I need to know about co-op? And all of those sorts of details are already posted in an online presentation. So I'm just going to reshare the link so it'll pop up for you to watch our past presentations. And in there, you can find our co-op presentation from February. So if you're asking questions about co-op or want to know a little bit more, rather than focusing on that today, obviously you're welcome to, if you have specific questions for Delina or Empo about their experience, we're happy to address those. But co-op in general, I'd really highly encourage you to watch that presentation from February. The other question I've gotten kind of a few of is asking a little bit more about scholarships. There's been some questions about specifically like, is there a max number of students that gets a scholarship? Is there spread per country and things like that? And I don't have those specific details of how all of those scholarships break out. Essentially, there is a max amount of funding, and so the number of students that are awarded will be based on that amount of funding for that year. We do give out a lot of scholarship money, so hopefully some of you might be so lucky as to receive a scholarship, but we know that it's not going to fund your full degree and it's not going to be available for every student. But if you are eligible, you will be communicated with by email, and a lot of those scholarship decisions will go out in late March throughout April, with all of those decisions being finished in those last few days of April. So you'll still have a few days before that May 1st deadline for a lot of students to accept their offer. So just to kind of tidy up those pieces, but again, there's a few questions that have been answered that I've typed a response to, so you should be able to see those in the Q&A as well. You just kind of have to look at those typed responses instead. All right, a reminder to continue to ask your questions and to upvote any questions, as I will try and go in order of most upvote. So Quinn, this first question is for you. You've talked about this a little bit, but maybe you can just give the really like short highlighted answer. Students are just wondering a little bit more. Are they applying for the study permit themselves? How is the university helping with them with that process? Kind of like what are their first steps, I think is what is being asked.
Yeah, the whole step is to check I think in your letter of acceptance, you probably received our study permit tutorial instruction. If not, and I will share the link with you at the end of this presentation. So the first step is set up a IRCC GCQ account. So all of the study permit application have to be submitted online. So you set up an account and follow our study permit application tutorial to prepare all of your documents, including the letter of acceptance, financial documents, application form, and passport, some study plan in some countries. So when you prepare your application, reach out to the study permit concierge services, so they can check your application and to help you to revise your application, and then you can submit it by yourself. So that is the whole process. Or if you're not sure, or if you cannot find the study permit tutorial link, don't worry about it. So first step, reach out to the study permit concierge services. They have all of our resources, and they also have our study permit tutorial on the webpage. So remember I told you to take a screenshot of that QR code. So when you enter the QR code, and you will see there's a tutorial in there as well. So make sure you use that free services to strengthen your application. Yeah.
Perfect, thanks. And I think just to clarify, so students are applying for their study permit themselves. We have lots of services to help them through that process, but yeah, the application is happening by students. And I just reshared this. There's a couple of links that we have in the resources tab for both the study permit concierge and that walkthrough of how to apply for your study permit. So make sure you're using those resources online. But yeah, just to clarify, students are applying for that themselves, but we are there to help them through all of the steps if they have questions, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even some student is not lucky to get refused, make sure contact the study permit concierge services again. So their only purpose is to help you to receive your study permit to come to Canada. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have a question here for you, Jelena. And the question is about how to prepare for first year over the summer. So there's a question here around preparing for first term courses academically. Do you have any recommendations for how students can just prepare for coming to UBC? So I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit about maybe how you prepared academically, but also just prepared for coming to UBC at the beginning of your first year.
I think it's just important to kind of know like how your final exams like when they were. So for me, like my final high school exams were like in like May or June. So I think I was like I still remember like all my concepts from high school and like the main things I studied for. So I think just before coming to UBC, I just kind of brushed on those concepts again. Maybe just like reread your final calculus notes or final chem notes, or I think just like brushing up on concepts basically I think is the most important thing, because your first year would mostly just consist of maybe just building up on the knowledge you already have had from your high school courses. So it's not anything like completely new that you learn. Maybe for some certain courses, like for example, I had never coded before. So that one first year course, which is AppSci 160 here at UBCV, which is about introduction to C language. I had never done that, so I think that was something completely new for me. But with physics and chem and math, I think that was just building up your knowledge from high school. So I think it's just important for you to understand where your academic base lies, and then just maybe revising those concepts again.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's quite stressful going from that high school to university and wanting to feel prepared. So it's helpful to know like what you recently did when you were in first year. Another thing that some of our students find helpful is the academic essentials courses that are available at UBC. This is available for all new UBC students. So there's topics on like academic readiness, transitioning to university, and then just refreshing some concepts and theories. So if you are wanting, something in between, sometimes those courses work well for you. But like Delena said, you can just review some of your notes and then spend that time enjoying that break before starting university and getting prepared for that move. Thank you so much, Delena. And so the next question I have here is for you, Empo. I'm wondering if you can chat a little bit about opportunities to work on campus to make some money. So I know that you work as a work study student. So maybe if you could speak a little bit about those opportunities and how you found them and things like that.
Yeah, so there's ample opportunities to work on campus. UBC Okanagan has a job site. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they're very consistent in posting job postings for work study positions, research positions. There's also, you can work as a residence advisor, which is a pretty nice job to have because you have housing along with that. Um, but yeah, it was with me, it's pretty nice. The hours are pretty flexible. It works really well with your course load. As long as you have good time management, you should be able to be okay. But yeah, like there's a lot of opportunities to work on campus, and get extra money just to make ends meet if needed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing. And there are some other ways, like we mentioned earlier. So Impo talked about the work study, the residence advisor, which are really great opportunities to build some skills and make a little bit of money while you're in courses. But there's also research opportunities. There's some paid scholarships, opportunities for students to work over the summer in research labs. And then there is co-op, which you've talked about, which is that paid work experience. The main difference with co-op is you're not typically taking any courses. You're working full-time during co-op, and you have specific work terms where you're not taking courses during that time period. Erin, is it okay if I pass it over back to you? I haven't had a chance to scan through the questions to see the next one.
Yeah, I think the next one is looking for a little bit of advice from both of our students today of what was the kind of thing that you felt supported you the most in your first year? If you could name like your top one, two, or three, whether that was, offices that supported you, doing something specific for yourself that supported you, anything that you had access to on campus that supported you. What do you think provided you with the most support in your first year? Delana, maybe you want to go first?
I think for me, I think the engineering academic services played a major role in supporting me because when I came to UBC, I think I was just I obviously had an idea that I wanted to go into engineering, but I did not really know what field necessarily. So then I was just kind of exploring all the options. So I went to my advisor quite a few times actually throughout the year and then just asked her about job opportunities in different fields and also like what kinds of things I can do when I work in a specific field. So she guided me through all of those and then helped me narrow it down to my interests. And I ended up going into civil engineering, which has been great so far. So I think she kind of like helped me navigate my way into civil. So I give her all the credit for that for sure. So I think the engineering academic services was really, really helpful. And then I think another thing is just like finding your sense of community. I think when you find those right people that you can surround yourself with and be sane outside those courses and the workload, I think it's just a very nice thing to be able to feel supported throughout your career.
Perfect. And we have an event coming up soon next week that's talking about find your community. So that would be a great one to check out to kind of, yeah, learn a little bit more about all those different types of communities to get involved in. Empo, anything to add from your experience?
Yeah, so UBC Okanagan had quite a lot of mentorship programs where they would pair you up with an upper year level student. Um, and I took advantage of that. So I had a mentor in my first year. She was in third year civil engineering, and she helped me a lot. She introduced me to a lot of other engineering students in upper year, and I was able to like get guidance and navigation from them. Um, Also, the Student Learning Hub was my holy grail, basically. There's a lot of tutors, and all of the tutors are also in engineering. So that was a great way for me to meet other engineering students and like build my community within engineering or within civil engineering. And then, yeah, also finding my community was really important. I joined a lot of clubs. I joined the African and Caribbean Club where I met a lot of other African international students, and that's how I was able to also find my community and find people who share similar experiences to me, which was really great. So, yeah.
Aaron, I see there's a question sort of along the same notes, so maybe I'll just tag it on for Delena and Impo. And it's really about, we talked about leading up to the first week, but the question is really about is how is the first week? Is it relaxing? Is it jam-packed? What goes on in that first week? So maybe if you guys can remember back to your very first week of class, if you could share a little bit about that experience and what that felt like for you.
I guess I'll start. So for my first week, I very clearly remember, my only advice, I think, would just be to I think just ensure that the Vancouver climate is very varying. So if you're coming from a warmer place like I did, I came from West Asia, so it was super, super warm in the summer, and then I came to Vancouver and I actually fell sick during Jumpstart. So 100% do not recommend. So just be mindful of the weather. I think that's like the primary thing to remember from my experience. And then I think in general, the first week itself was I would say it was academically light in comparison of like to the workload, and then socially it was very chaotic. So just meeting a lot of new people and then making dinner plans with certain people and then lunch plans with somebody else. So I think it was just very socially overwhelming, I would say. So, but again, it is a great opportunity to make new friends because it's good to know as many people as you can so that you just make those connections and also just like find the right people that you can surround yourself with and study with. So academically, it's pretty light because you just kind of go over the syllabus and then you just kind of you're just getting to know the profs and the TAs. But socially, I think it's just a completely new environment. So I would say it's kind of like a mix of both. But I think if I had to describe it in one word, I would say chaotic and exciting, both of those two words.
Thank you so much. I feel like that's a very good overview of that first week. I'm going to pass it over to you, Empo. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I had a very different experience because I started during COVID. So it was the campus was pretty empty, which was pretty nice. So it was not that chaotic. I imagine now it's pretty chaotic, now that everyone's back. Like online classes isn't a thing or isn't as prominent anymore. But I would agree, like academically, it is socially light. It is academically light. Professors are going over the syllabus. Um, you're doing a lot of review from high school, so you have a lot of time to actually meet and talk to people in your classes and like build friendships. But yeah, I would say like with Jumpstart and like with like being on campus, it was pretty easy for me because it was pretty empty. So yeah.
And that makes sense for sure. Definitely, there's definitely a lot going on. And that is really the point of that first week is for you to make friends and for you to explore different things and not be as academically rigorous during that week. I know we're pretty much at time here. Both of you, Delana and Impo, have shared a lot of great information today. Could you each please share like 30 seconds? Your advice to future international students to help them feel at home and succeed in their study. If you have one piece of advice, could you each please quickly share that with us?
For me, definitely one piece of advice, beware of the climate. Um, I think if you really need to like take away something from like the student experience from my side, do not get sick in your first week. It is not great. But I think in all seriousness, it's just it's very important to surround yourself with the right people and also find what works best for you, so that you can successfully continue throughout your degree. I think that's the most important thing that I have learned so far. So it might take time to find the right community, but once you find those right people, I think it's just important to stick with those people, that could be your engineering advisor. Like if you really like vibe with an engineering advisor, stay connected. Like even if like let's say my engineering academic services advisor, she was great. I'm still in touch with her. So she helped me find civil engineering. So I think it's just a great way to kind of just stay in touch with those people and also, of course, friends.
Thank you so much. Impo, anything to add?
Yeah, my advice would be to join as many clubs as possible. It ha could be engineering, it could be outside of engineering. Just find people who share similar interests with you. That is a great way of building friendships and communities with people who make you feel seen and comfortable. And then take advantage of all the first year mentorship programs where you get to meet people in upper years because they get to connect you and network you with people who might help your degree or even with co-op or even jobs post-grad too. So yeah, just meet as much people as you can.
Thank you so much, Impo and Delena, for sharing all that great advice and experience today. Aaron, I know we're at time, so I'm going to pass it back over to you if that's okay to wrap us up today. And I'll look in that Q&A to see if there's anything I can answer while you're wrapping up.
Perfect. So I just want to mention a couple ways to stay connected with us as you make these decisions over the next few months. So one of the things that Delana mentioned is that she is a engineering ambassador, and so what that means is that we have this chat with a student feature on our website. So you can actually start a chat with any student that you might be interested in chatting with to ask them questions about design teams they've been a part of, to ask them questions about what it's been like coming to Canada, to ask them questions about their specific engineering program. So just like a chat feature, you can send your question, they'll try and get back to you in the like within a day or so. Typically, it might not be exactly right away, but it's a great feature. And so you can get in touch with all of our engineering ambassadors. We have current students from both campuses in I think every engineering program that we offer. So lots of opportunities to really get connected there. And then we have a few more events coming up in the next like month and a bit or so. So we have the pre-biomedical engineering timetable information session, if that is something that you're interested in. We have the Find Your Community event coming up next Wednesday, so you can learn more about teams and clubs across both campuses. And then a few last sessions before the end of April. So we hope to see you at those sessions. You can register the same way that you registered for this session. For those of you that are living abroad, there's also going to be some UBC events coming up called Your Next Chapter UBC. So keep an eye out for those email invites. And you might see myself or Marie at some of those as well. So I'm headed to China soon. If you're joining us from China, then hopefully I'll get to see you. And we have lots of other representatives from engineering attending some of those events as well. So keep an eye on your emails because we'll send all sorts of details there. And again, just a quick mention of our contact if you need to get in touch about anything to do with engineering at the Vancouver or Okanagan campus. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much to Empo, Delina, and Quinn for sharing all of your amazing expertise with us here today. Marie and I definitely could not answer all of those questions without your help. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of our attendees for joining. We hope to see you at one of our campuses very soon. Thank you.